All right, our next speaker. I want to tell you something about this person, ladies and gentlemen. If I was this person, I would walk differently. I would literally walk down the street like this. I would have my REA profile in hand and I would be standing at a shopping mall and I would be like, do you want signed copies? I would be waving to people being like, yes. He ranks not number one in one marketplace, but 4. No, I do not have a speech impediment. I said 4 marketplaces, number 1. He has transformed one of the best property track records across Australia. And just last night, sent me another email that he has, once again, ranked in Victoria's finest and most elite. I am so proud to introduce to the stage a very, very dear friend of mine, someone who I'm so honoured to work with, and one of Australia's most elite real estate agents, Mr. Calvin Chan. Welcome aboard. Come on up. Now let me get your cards and slides up here for you. Now this thing you just got to click, all right? I know you do a lot of in millions of dollars of deals, but you just have to click it, all right?
Okay. Hopefully I'll get to understand how to use this. Thank you for that beautiful introduction, Imi. And welcome everyone. This is thank you. I do a lot of auctions, but I've never done public speaking like this before, so this is something a little bit different. Here's my profile, ladies and gentlemen, all transparent, ready for you to see. Been in this industry since 2017. Today is my 7th year. It's actually my it's my anniversary day today, 7 years in real estate. Thank you. $2.1 million GCI most recently, over 100 properties sold yearly. And yeah, previous experience, unemployed before I got into real estate. So I'll click through the slides. Today I'll be talking about how to grow your market share rapidly. So something that I guess a lot of agents want to do in the shortest amount of time. And who am I? So obviously had a beautiful introduction from Mimi. Some of you probably never met me before, don't know who I am, so I'll just give a brief rundown and introduction about stats and who am I. So currently I am one of 2 directors at my office in Buxton in Box Hill. We've got about 30 staff now. We started with not many, and now we've got about 30. Currently, I'm the market leader in Box Hill North, as you can see, on REA. So number 1, number 2, both from our office. This you can see in terms of our office and the second office, there's a big stark difference. 54 properties sold. We're selling 4 or 5 times more than everyone else in the marketplace. And when I started 7 years ago, we had 0% market share in this area. Now we're sitting somewhere between 30 to 40% market share. And next page, this is in Box Hill. So in terms of houses sold in the past 12 months, I've sold 12. Second place has sold 2. So also very dominant in that core area. And this one is Mont Albert North, a suburb that I had no market share in probably about a year or 2 ago. And now I've built myself to be number 1 in that suburb. 13 properties sold versus our second closest competitor who sold 6. And in Box Hill South, currently tied for number 1 in Box Hill South. So hopefully we can build our market share a little bit higher there in the next year or 2. And here are some of my awards that I've won in the past couple of years. This is from realestate.com, one of our proud partners here today, ranked number 5 in the whole of Victoria. This is from the Herald Sun, ranked number 2 for agents under 35. So currently I'm 31 years of age. And most recently, this is probably one of my proudest moments, was getting Agent of the Year in the whole Buxton network, thank you, where there's over 500 sales staff. So yeah, never thought I would win that, because as soon as I joined Buxton, there was only one person that was winning that every year. You may know him, Chris Hassel. He was winning that, I think, for about 7-8 years. So this was the first year that someone took that top spot from him. So this is a photo of me, in case you don't know what I look like. and then, so my life before real estate. So my life before real estate, I went to university, graduated, didn't do very well in university, so there wasn't graduate jobs lining up for me. So I travelled the world and came back and was hanging out with the wrong crowd. So I grew up with people in my life that weren't always getting up to no good, and I was mixing in with that crowd as well. I didn't like the path that I was going down. Some of my friends, ended up going to jail and things like that, and that wasn't the path that I wanted to go down. So I tried to get into real estate because I saw obviously real estate agents, they seem to be making a lot of money. So it seemed like a very attractive career. So I applied to join my office in Buxton Box Hill, but they only had a property management role open, and I said I didn't want to go into property management, I wanted to go into sales. So I knocked that back, and then a couple months later they came back and said, look, we're looking for a sales role, and that's when I joined May 15th, 2017. So I can honestly say my real estate career probably saved my life. As I mentioned before, a lot of my friends did end up going to jail, so if I was hanging out with them, and this is really important, the circle that you surround yourself, because you end up doing things that you don't want to do because of the people that you're around. So by going to real estate, going to a very totally different type of lifestyle, it's given me everything that I have today. So all the financial success that I have today, whether it's the houses, that beautiful house that I live in, the investment properties that I have, the financial security that I have for me and my family. So currently I have a beautiful wife and 2 young kids. This would not have been possible if it was not for what I achieved in real estate, and also, of course, the business that I run, which is quite a large office now. And I just want to talk about mindset and sacrifice, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not here to talk to you about scripts and dialogues, what to say to a vendor that's going to be that catchphrase to get that listing or get that property sold. What's more important, ladies and gentlemen, is the mindset and sacrifice that you take every day to your career. So the early days of real estate, a lot of people have been through this journey. It's probably the toughest time for any real estate salesperson. The first 6 months or the first 12 months, you don't know what you're doing. You're not getting paid very well, and you're doing something completely different. So I'll just click through that. Yeah, that's what I mentioned. And also at that time, I was very highly indebted as well. So before I joined real estate, I made the smart decision to buy a $100,000 car on car finance. No balloon payment. So I said, I'll do the balloon at the end. In 5 years' time, I'm sure I'll have money in 5 years' time. And it's a car that I'm still driving today. So it's a BMW 6 Series. 2016 was when I bought the car, $100,000. Not a very wise decision. So once I got into real estate, the pay wasn't great. So I had rent to pay, I had a car loan to pay as well. So in that first 6 months, I nearly transitioned to become a Uber driver because, real estate wasn't paying the bills. You're getting 40 grand a year, and I was just trying to find ways to supplement my income. So I was thinking, maybe I can drive Uber to and from work, take someone on my way to work and take someone back when I go home, and even on Sundays as well, because we work 6 days in real estate. So maybe on Sundays I could be doing Uber. Unfortunately, Uber knocked me back because they don't take 4-seater cars on their platform. So that was the end of my Uber career. But luckily, about that time, that's when, I think that 6-month mark, that's when my real estate career started picking up and things started going a little bit better for me. No plan B. So ladies and gentlemen, I never wavered in my commitment of wanting to be a real estate agent and making this career work for me. I've always wanted to be, make sure that you've got just a plan A and no plan B, because what happens is if you do have a plan B, and I've seen it a lot in my office where some people say, I used to be a chef or I used to be whatever it is. if real estate doesn't work out, I can always jump back into that career. So, if you do that and you don't burn the bridges, then you do run the risk of failing because, real estate's an uncomfortable career. You're going to get rejected. You're going to do things that you're uncomfortable with. So having no plan B, I think, is a very important part of that mindset. And for me, I didn't want to go to plan B because I didn't want to go back to my former life. I didn't want to live a life looking over my shoulder, putting my family at risk, or, for example, one day going to jail and then, seeing my parents on the other side where they'll be crying and, breaking my mother's heart. That's something I didn't want to put my family through. And also because of the things that I went through in my former life, it also helped to build my mindset. So, what's the worst thing that can happen in real estate? Someone tells you to F off, they slam the door in your face, they don't give you the listing, they give it to someone else. That doesn't really harm you. Obviously, it might harm you emotionally, but it's not going to harm you physically. In my former life, things could happen to you physically. You could end up in jail, or you could be hurt seriously. So, real estate for me was pretty much fun and games. And hard work, ladies and gentlemen, that's probably the key ingredient of every successful agent. Doesn't matter if they door knock, they do cold calling, they write thank you letters. What you'll see, the common core ingredient is that they all work hard. So this is a quote that I heard very early on in my career, is be the first one to flick on the lights and the last one to switch them off. If you want to achieve financial independence and freedom and success, take that mindset to you every day to work. And don't just work according to your paycheck. Work that extra time and provide that extra value to your clients and your office, and you'll be rewarded accordingly. So I never went to my boss and said, I want a promotion, I want a pay rise. I never did that. A lot of people in my office have done that. They'll say, can you give me a pay rise? But for me, I always thought, let me provide value first, and if they don't appreciate my value, I'm sure someone else in the marketplace would. And, I've never had to ask for a pay rise, ask for a promotion. Things just started coming to me because of the value that you provide to the marketplace. The sacrifice. So the things that people need to sacrifice. So every year, what I find is that, slowly and slowly, I start giving up more things in order to make my career better and better. In the early days, I didn't know that, so, I was still, had half my foot in real estate, but, also partying on the weekends, drinking a lot, things like that. But if you really want to take your game to the next level, you've got to start cutting those things back. So you have to want it more than anything else. You've got to work the 6 days a week, long hours. It's not your normal 9-to-5 job. So for people who are wanting to work 40 hours, being a real estate salesperson is probably not the place you want to be. But if you want to achieve, huge financial success where you can get paid more than the Prime Minister of Australia, then definitely real estate is a good career where you don't have to have a university degree. So other things I sacrificed, so I mentioned I sacrificed the partying. I've also quit alcohol halfway through my real estate career, and I think that's really taken my game to the next level. I get no hangovers anymore now. I wake up every morning feeling fresh, ready to go. People can call me anytime. I'm on my A game. Laser focus, ladies and gentlemen, don't get distracted. So again, a lot of people in my office, they might, like to take coffee breaks. I don't drink coffee. They might like to go smoke breaks. I don't smoke. They like to, talk at the water fountain or, have 2-hour lunches. That's not going to get you ahead in real estate. And also, you never really switch off. So, your phone's on you all the time. People might call you. People call me all the time at 9 o'clock, sometimes even at 11, midnight as well. And, sometimes I'll pick up, especially in the early days. Now I might not because I've got a family, but, you really got to show your difference, show your clients you're available. I mean, if your client calls you at 6 o'clock and then you reply them the next day at 9 o'clock, they might have given that listing to someone else. And recently I just went on holiday and I had my phone on me the whole time. So, people call me all the time. And you have to look after your body. So one thing that I've started doing this year is I've been starting to cook my own lunches. No more office lunches, healthy food. Your health is wealth, ladies and gentlemen, so you've got to look after your body. And I just want to talk about compound interest. So everyone's seen the graphs of, the exponential growth if you put $1 in your bank account every week, and then by the end of it, you have $1 million before you die. So this is compound interest, but not in terms of money, but in terms of the skills and effort that you put into the real estate career. As you can see, I love quotes, ladies and gentlemen. So we tend to overestimate what we can do in the long term, and we overestimate what we can do in the short term and underestimate what we can do in the long term. So for a lot of people, they want to be $1 million agent tomorrow. That's probably not going to happen, but you can set a plan to be $1 million agent in 2 or 3 years. That's definitely a very realistic goal. Myself, I became a $1 million agent probably about 2 to 3 years into my career. So I can testify that this quote is very true. And I never expected to be $1 million agent or a $2 million agent now. That's not something I ever planned for, but just put in the hours every day, and slowly, 7 years now, and I'm sitting here on stage talking to you about how to be a real estate agent, when before I would have had no clue what this would be like. This is another quote. If you get 1% better every day for 1 year, you'll end up 37 times better by the time you're done. So just 1% better every day, ladies and gentlemen, just small things. You don't need to beat your competitors by 20 or 30%. All you need to do is be better than them by 1 or 2%. So you've got to be consistent, no days off, make those extra phone calls, send that extra message, even when you don't want to. So if you've got a target, for example, 20 calls a day, make that 21st call. Make that 22nd call, even if you don't want to. That's going to separate yourself between the people in your office and your competitors out there in the marketplace. And this is our office stats. So currently we've sold 355 properties in the past 12 months. Our GCI is about $7 million as an office. So our office started 7 years ago. So as you can see, great exponential growth in the past 7 years. And this is just a summary of all the offices within the Buxton network. As you can see, our office in Box Hill is currently leading in terms of number of forward book auctions for 2024, and we've actually tripled our numbers from the previous year. And this is number of properties we've sold in the past month. So in our marketplace in the inner east of Melbourne, there's quite a few dominant agencies, but we've sold more properties than them in the past month. Some of them have sold over 500 homes in the past 12 months, so we're catching up to them slowly. And also, I'd like to announce, ladies and gentlemen, on stage here for the first time, is that our office in Buxton and Box Hill will be rebranding shortly to our own brand. So watch that space, ladies and gentlemen. We'll have our own office and network coming very shortly. Thank you. And just some final notes, ladies and gentlemen, just about going pro. If you want to take your business to that next level, how do you grow it from $1 million to $2 million? I want to talk about going pro. So how do you become an attraction agent? First, you've got to love prospecting. Prospecting will set you free. It's the thing that most agents hate, but it's the most important thing that you do. This is the reason why we get paid so much in real estate, is because we can prospect. So prospecting will set you free, and also it helps with other parts of your business as well, in terms of your listing presentation, also your conversion rate at listing presentation. So it will give you that abundance mentality. So sometimes people kick themselves because they lose a listing, but I never get down anymore about losing a listing, because I know I've got 10 more lined up in the pipeline. So okay, I might lose one, but I might get another 5 or 6 on the other side. So you just move on because you know you've got more and more coming to you. And also increase your conversion rate. So if you've spoken to your client 10 times before they decide to sell, and even if they've called 3 or 4 agents into the living room, you've had 10 touch points with them before they wanted to sell. So, they've only talked to the other agent maybe 2 times or 3 times. So you're in that pole position. You need a CRM system. So, like Manos said, most real estate agents are a bit chaotic. You don't know, you jump at the things that require attention. So, you might get that email and you want to reply that email straight away. You get a client call you, they're thinking of selling, and so you jump to that, do an appraisal for them. Oh, sorry, I'll go back. And then, what else was I going to say? Sometimes people will call you and they just want to find out, what did that property sell for? I'm not looking to sell, but I just want to know the price of that property. So you tell them and then you forget about them because they're not an immediate seller. So when I first started in real estate, a lot of the mentality of a lot of real estate agents is catch and kill. If you've got something in front of you, you jump at, put all your attention in it. Otherwise, it doesn't require your focus. So having a CRM system, so I use Box and Dice, probably one of the best ones out there. So set a task, call the client, make notes, and then you can call them back whenever you want. Set a task for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 months, and then you've got all your notes in there, so you can go back to those notes and say, refer to those notes. So if you talked about, their kids' school, the holidays that they went on, that's all in your CRM system, and it will get rid of all the leakage in your business. And also, if you don't set a task to do something, for example, if I don't have it in my calendar, I'm going to forget about it. So if you don't have a task in your CRM system to call that client, how are you going to remember to call your client? And business is one outside of the living room, so it's not just done in the living room. So think about the things that you can do before you even meet the client. So when I get the phone call, make sure you ask the right questions, qualify the client, get their email address, send them relevant info about yourself. What I like to do is send all the stats and awards that I've won, plus any vendor testimonials that I have, which are usually a video testimonial, which is much more powerful than just the written word. After you meet the client, I like to send a proposal straight away if they require one. I've won business because sometimes the other agent takes a week to send out a proposal, and I've got that proposal out to them on the same day. I also use ChatGPT AI, ladies and gentlemen, so that's very useful. Sometimes clients will have a long list of questions that they want you to answer. So I used to spend hours typing up those emails. Now I can spend 10 minutes using ChatGPT, and the response is much better than what I can write. And always prioritize dollar productive activities. When you're at work in the office, those office hours, don't spend it on replying emails. Make those phone calls, those quality connections, and then after work at night, whenever you want, reply emails afterwards. And also, you have to spend money to make money. So some people have this mentality is, they don't want to spend money. They say, what if I don't get a return on investment? What if I do that letter drop and it doesn't work out? What if I spend $2,000 on social media and it doesn't give me a return? But ladies and gentlemen, if you want to be an attraction agent, if you don't want to spend your whole life door knocking and making cold calls to people who don't want to talk to you, you got to invest in yourself and in your brand. So what I like to do is I like to do weekly letter drops because I sell 100 properties a year, so it's more than once a week. So twice a week, a letter drop is going out to the whole suburb of that property that I've sold. Social media spend, so I work very closely with Imi on social media, boosting properties out, boosting my online presence. Also do billboard advertising as well. So I've got 2 billboards at the moment, looking to get a couple more. I'll probably do some bus advertising as well in the near future. This is just an example of a billboard that we've taken out in Box Hill. So size matters, ladies and gentlemen. And as you can see, the money that we've invested in ourselves, helps us to generate more leads. So you can see we get more leads on realestate.com than some of the bigger offices in the marketplace. And this is my profile in the office. So in the past 6 months, I've had 48 leads from realestate.com, 18 of them unique. And then in the office, you can see it's a huge difference, the leads that I get compared to everyone else. And that's because I spend a lot more on advertising. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you got something out of it today. I'll be around. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask me later on. Thank you.